Hello friends, welcome to today's daily devotion. This week we are looking at the distraction of money and possessions. And today our scripture comes to us out of the Gospel of Luke, reading from the 12th chapter, starting in verse 13 and reading through verse 21. Hear now these words. Someone in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." Jesus replied, "Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you?" Then he said to them, "Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions." And he told him this parable. The ground of a certain rich man produced a good crop. He thought to himself, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "This is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and I will build bigger barns, and there I will store up my grain and my goods. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of good things laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool! This very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself?" This is how it will be with anyone who stores up things for himself, but is not rich towards God. Throughout human history, we have had this conflict of interest between those who have and those who have not. And it is always those who have don't want to give to any of those who have not, and those who have not are always anxious to get what they don't have from those who do have. This, my friends, is the classic case that created Marxism. The rise of communism was all about this idea that the masses who are the have-nots are going to rebel and overthrow the smallest concentration of those who have in order to distribute all of that to everyone so that no one is left in want. That's the fine theory of Marxism, but yet every time that it's been tried in actual human history, it doesn't work. Why? Because of what Jesus is warning us about. Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. You see, the people who have more than they need and aren't willing to give it away, we can look at those and say, yeah, that's greedy, boo on them. But what about those of us who don't have that and want it? Aren't we also guilty of greediness? It's not the greedy of what we have, it's the greedy because of what we don't have. And here in the United States, in my lifetime, we have seen this increasing concentration of wealth into this very small group of people, the so-called 1%ers, that this 1% of people in the United States own way more than half of everything that there is to own in the United States. And there's this sense of disagreement on whether this is a good thing or whether this is a bad thing in terms of American politics and American economics. But I want to get us out of the realm of economics and politics and back into the realm of faith. That's what Jesus was trying to explain to these people, that if we only look at possessions and wealth through the lens of power, politics, and economic prowess, we're missing it. Because God controls everything. And even those of us who think, "Ooh, I've got it all," God can say, just as to the man in this parable, "You fool." Those who trust in their wealth and possessions and not in God are going to be left wanting. So let's stop getting all caught up on who has and who has not in economic and material terms, and instead recognize that what we have is the access to heaven and all that God has created through Jesus Christ. And if we focus on that, if we put all of our attention on Jesus and living for Him, then all these material things, all these possessions, God has a way of making all of that work out. So don't be looking for bigger barns. Be looking for bigger hearts. And I'll see you tomorrow for another daily devotion.